conversation with wonderful, unbelievable lady whose nickname is Purple Lady. This is going to be one of the Happy People series. For this time, it's going to be in English. Most of my happy people were speaking Russian with me. And well, turns out Sandra's mother was Russian. I didn't know, I just found out that. So I know Sandra many years ago, and she helped me a lot. This is a woman who, as turns out, in 70s, opened women's shelter in her own house. Sandra, why don't you tell about how did you get the idea and how did it happen?
The idea got me in I got married in 1960, and I was 19, and at that time, back in 1960, everybody said, how come you're not married? You know, like it was old, 19. And now people get married 20, 30. So I got married, I was 19, my husband was 34. Bottom line, I wanted to change the world, and he wanted a house with a circular driveway. He was Cuban, and he wanted to be Americanized, and I was just finding myself, and I got involved in the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, the women's movement. I met Flo Kennedy, who became my mentor. She is like the most incredible woman. I don't know if you can put it on your camera, but I have a list of her sayings. She breaks it down. She called the Pentagon the Pentagonaria. She just was very smart, very funny, very terrific. I met her when I was 9 months pregnant, I think it was with little Sandy, picketing Lady Bird Johnson was getting the Mother of the Year award, and we were picketing and saying, hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? I don't know, people know who LBJ was? Lyndon Johnson. After they killed Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson became the president, and they wanted to keep the war on because the war was making a lot of money for a lot of people. And right now, it's the same thing. They spend trillions. They just gave more in the budget for the war than they asked for, and people are starving.
That was the reason you wanted to become a civil rights activist?
All of it together. So I met Flo, and I was picketing Lady Bird, like I say, mother, and I was 9 months pregnant, and everybody was taking my picture, and Flo invited me up to her house. She lived in Billie Holiday's suite. I don't know if the people in your audience know Billie Holiday. She was a famous, good, strange fruit, beautiful, wonderful woman. My daughter.
We're talking about singer Billie Holiday.
Yes, singer Billie Holiday. And I thought there was going to be all cool black guys there. I was getting involved in, everything, and I thought I was hot stuff. And instead, what they were doing was playing Scrabble. But Flo became my mentor. She helped me, and I decided that I wanted to get divorced because I didn't like being married. And I asked Flo, should I get married? Should I get divorced? And she said, they're all the same, it doesn't matter, it's up to you. It's not like if you leave one, you'll get another one.
So this is interesting. Why didn't you like being married?
I found it boring.
Oh, yes?
I didn't like it.
So there was no love involved. You just married because...
Well, I thought I was in love. He was, like sexy. Before we were married, we were so romantic. And then once we got engaged, we used to go to the motel. He said, oh, I don't want you to think I'm taking advantage of you, And I said, no, take advantage of me. But after we were married, there was no more romance. I became the mother, not nun, but, I became the mother-to-be of his children. The Virgin Madonna. I wasn't a Virgin Madonna, but, when you're the wife, you're different.
I see. Okay.
But I just didn't like being married. I wanted to be free and do what I wanted to do and make the world a better place.
And this is 70s.
I got married in 60. I had 3 wonderful children. My husband had a baby before we were married, which I didn't know about. Her name was Maria, which I didn't know about. And I wanted to name my daughter Maria. And my husband said, no, don't. And I said, why? And he said, I can't tell you. So I said, well, then I'm naming her Maria. So I named her Maria. And Big Maria, the daughter, the Social Security found him. And he said they want me to pay $85 something a month, or I'm not sure how it was then, but I think it was $85 a month, which isn't a lot now, but I don't know. Should I pay it? I said, of course, it's your child. So he went to visit her. he brought back a picture kit, Ido Papa, dear father, in her communion dress. And I said, bring her out to meet her brothers and sisters. And he said, no, they wouldn't accept it. I said, they don't care, children, you know. So when we got divorced, I contacted Carmen, the mother, and Big Maria worked for the airlines, and we went to Puerto Rico, and we were like family. And then after we got divorced, my husband didn't want a divorce. He said to me when I told him I wanted a divorce, Flo Kennedy got me a lawyer, and the lawyer was really nice. He was helping me, Joe Barry and Morty Stavis, who was involved in community control. And when I told him, he said, make dinner and then tell him you want a divorce. So I made dinner, told him, and he said, why? I'm the same guy I was the day we got married. I said, that's the reason. You know, he was nice, he was good, but you know, I just wanted to be free and wild and do what I wanted to do.
He would not let you be wild and free if you would try
Well,
to?
he was actually, at the last point, when I sort of knew I wanted to get a divorce, and we made a deal that we would go, I wanted to go to the Black Panther Convention, which was in Oakland, California at Merritt College. And so he wanted to go to Las Vegas. So we made a deal. We would go to the Panther Convention. He would watch the children. He took them to, what do you call that, Yellowstone Park or one of those, you know, parks. And then afterwards we went to Las Vegas, and we had a little house in Venice we rented. And, you know, but I just, you know, I would get up early in the morning and walk on the beach, and I met this woman. Her name was Anna, and she used to sing to me. She was a homeless woman. She was, hey, Jude. And then I wanted to invite her up to take a shower. My husband didn't like it, you know, which I don't blame him, I guess. But, you know, I just wanted to be with the people and free, and, you know, that was it.
Okay, when you say I wanted to be wild, what do you mean by saying wild?
I wanted to do what the spirit, you know, led me, and I didn't want to be with boring people.
I see.
I find like most respectable people are boring. I like to tell off, like, you know, hypocrites, and you know.
I see.
I just like to follow the spirit, and I like people that are unconventional.
Sandra, when did you start talking about spirit? When did you know that you have connection with the spirit? Like, when did you sense the spirit in you? When was it first?
I don't know exactly, but somewhere when I got involved with the women's movement.
When I started my channel, that was about doing some research. What makes happy people? What's different happy people have that the other people don't? And living in the same environment, having the same conditions. Some people just choose to be happy, and some people just feel miserable the rest of their life. So the question, when did you feel spirit? What did it mean for you? I'm asking because I just want to catch up with
I totally
how did
understand.
you start feeling it?
It was a process. It didn't happen one day, hello, I got the spirit. It was a process of freeing. I think spirit comes with being free and in touch with what, you know, who you are and what you believe, and you know, and as your beliefs change, you develop and you grow. When I got involved in the women's movement, that was a very liberating thing. Like I say, now there's a show on WBAI. It's called Out FM. You know, out, coming out as a lesbian.
And you were on the show?
No,
you weren't on the show? No? Okay.
No, it's now. There's a show. Now they say, hello, this is Naomi Brussels and John Riley, and this is Out FM, and this is a show for, and there's about like 20 things. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, It was a whole big long thing now. They call people they instead of he and she, and you know. But back then, it was lesbians, and not lesbian and gay, and it was very freeing. Lesbians were leaving their husband. They felt like sleeping with men was like sleeping with the enemy, because like a Jew sleeping with a Nazi, and it was just very freeing. Well, lesbians burned their bras, but of course the press played that up. We went to Atlantic City and we burned, you know, we had a freedom trash can. We burned bras and the depilatories, you know, that takes off hair. Even now, I brought a bunch of bathing suits, which somebody brought me to the house, and so many women said, Oh, I can't wear one because my body isn't good. Good?
I witnessed myself several times when people came to you, people that you don't recognize, and was telling you that you were a big help in their life. How often does it happen? Women who used to be battered, used to be in big problem, and you actually gave roof above their head.
Well,
and
recently
educated.
quite a lot, because I have a letter that if you want to read it on the air, you could read it, but it's over there. I don't want to go over there now. But you know, at the end, when I get ready to go, a woman who was in Nigeria, and she was being battered, and she called me. This was over about 10, 12 years ago, and I talked to her, and I told her, well, I don't know of any shelters in Nigeria, but go to Kenya. My friend Osumba just opened a place called Joshua's Village for AIDS orphans. You know, a lot of people were dying of AIDS and their children had nowhere. And my wonderful friend Osumba opened this place. But she told me, which I didn't know, when you're in Nigeria, you can't go to the Congo. To Kenya, because it's a different country. I thought it was Africa.
How did you meet this woman who opened the shelter over there? During this
Osumba?
movement?
No, I had a boyfriend. He was a lifeguard, Anton. He was a very cool, sexy player guy. And he was, oh my gosh, his friend was Richie, who was with Osumba. And Richie would go, Osumba, get me a beer. And I would say, don't wuss around, get up and get it yourself. And he was sitting on my porch, and I poured water over his head. Okay. And he said, you're the only white girl that ever did that and lived. So she was living with him. I got them to live in this place, the hut right here. This is many years ago. And he was giving her a hard time, and she left, and she got a place in Patterson, and she got a job at William Patterson. She's very into William Patterson Living and Patterson, William Patterson College. And I told the landlord he wasn't paying the rent, throw him out because he's a bum. And so he let him stay there because of me, you know, and I helped out. So Osumba moved there, and then Richie gets thrown out, and he shows up on her door. So guess what she does? Slam the door? No, takes him in. And she was a very wonderful woman, but she had a soft spot for him. But finally, you know, he used to go to the bar and pick up people, and he'd go, come home and meet my beautiful African wife, and she's going to cook breakfast. She'd wake him up, you know. But anyway, so she married a principal of the school in Patterson, and then she divorced, and she became a very Christian, and she went to Kenya, which I think was her country, and she opened this place. She used her Social Security check to pay for it. She was wonderful. Good. So, but the woman, Alexandria, couldn't go there because it was a different country. I didn't know that. Like if you said, I live in Wycliffe, you know, come
right.
Yeah. So she, but the woman couldn't go, and I helped her get into Canada, and she got into a school, and she just wrote me a letter from Canada. She said she just is writing a book. She has a degree, and she's no longer the scared little woman that you knew then. And then there was a story in the New Jersey's Best, and a lot of people are calling me because they read it, and they tell me. And then this wonderful lady, very spiritual lady, her name is Christine Wildflower. She had a benefit for me at a bar, a bike bar, and she had all these people there that I didn't even know. She put it up online, and they all came in. One woman that said she saw me on the Merv Griffith show. I have no idea when I was on it, and she never even had met me, but she heard me speak, which gave her courage, and she left her husband. And there were 3 other women that sat at the little back table where me and Annie and them sat, and they all told me stories of how I helped them. And then at the Spiker Bar, they had a pair of testicles hanging from the ceiling with lights on it. And, you know, most people would be like embarrassed. And I said, you know what? Testicles aren't my favorite part of anyone's anatomy, but I like you because you are all cool. And I had the place roaring. They, you know, and then there was a guy who he had a shirt that said, a button that I wear all the time. I have it on my other thing, but it said, human needs, not corporate greed. And he gave me a rattle, and he just sent me a picture. And the rattle, when I was doing a spiritual ritual, it got washed away, and I called Christine Wildflower, asked her, to see if she could get him so I could get another one, but she didn't know him. He just came to the thing. So a lot of women have been calling and writing.
After the article.
Yeah, and you know, and this lady wasn't the article.
The name of the magazine is Jersey's Best.
New Jersey's Best.
New Jersey's
They didn't
Best.
have any magazine called New Jersey's Worst, so I guess they stuck me in New Jersey's Best.
Okay. Okay. What about this mermaid school? I have this in purpose, so you can tell us the new idea you have.
Well, I taught at William Patterson and Ramos for 40 years. I was an adjunct, and I was very popular. My students would come running after me down the hall, and from last year, you know, if they come from this year, you could say they want an A. They're trying to kiss your behind. But they followed me. They told me they never forgot my class.
The fact that you ended up not teaching in universities anymore because of...
Right, and I was very popular, and everywhere I would go, the police chief in Butler was one of my students. He wanted an A. I told him, if you want an A, work with this black family that lives in a little house and learn about them, and you did, you will. And he did, and he got an A. And until this day, a couple months ago, he called me from Martha's Vineyard, Myrtle Beach. He still helps me. And people come and they say, I was molested by my uncle and you helped me so much, you know. Anyway, so then they told me, I was teaching a long time, women's changing roles, dynamics of domestic violence, social issues. I had all these students that, not all of them liked me, but a lot of them liked me. And some of them, like one guy said, well, if we didn't take the land from the Native American, we wouldn't be civilized. And I said, civilized? Are we civilized? I don't think we live in a civilized society at all.
So basically, for what I understand, that moment that you decided to be free, you didn't feel you want to be married. That's when all this idea came from.
Well,
so
it wasn't
there's
a
lot
moment.
of abused people. You wanted to do
Yeah, but
something about it.
it wasn't a moment.
That
It
was
was a process.
accumulating.
And when I got involved in the women's movement, there was a women's coffee house, and like I say, it wasn't LBG they. It was lesbian, you know. And at the coffee house, men had to wear kilts and a purple tie to get in. It was a dress code. Of course, nobody wore that, so nobody could get in. Men couldn't get in. And there was a bookshop, and if a man rang the bell, they wouldn't bring the key down. If a woman rang the bell, they'd put the key. So it was all women. And there was this woman, Z Budapest, and she came to speak, and she took off her top. And I was so, like, flipped out, because I would never think of doing anything like that. And I was so impressed. You know, she was so free. She was what was she? She was Ukrainian, no, Polish, Yugoslavian. I don't know.
That's very interesting
Budapest.
thing that you mentioned, because I know very closely one very young, very beautiful, very talented lady. And she's really talented. She has things to show and she has things to put up there. And she had in her mind, I'm going to take my bra off and be on the video. I'm like, why do you need to do that? You have enough things to say with your bra. And like, what is the statement? I want to be free. That's what she said.
Yeah.
I'm not really getting it. I get it if you're not saying anything. Okay, but you have so many. You can sing. You can write a poem. You can do so many things. Like I don't feel there is a need to take your bra if you can do it in show how liberal you are, like liberated with different ways.
Are ashamed of their breasts. They like when I was being examined by the gynecologist who became my friend, Dr. Hirsch, who joined our board, and I had my hands up, and I said, oh, well, my breasts always look small. He goes, Sandra, every woman makes an excuse for her breast. So taking off your top is like, here it is.
That's interesting. I'll think about it.
Yeah, well.
Okay, so did you feel you wanted to be lesbian after you got divorced? When did it happen?
Oh no, I had a long affair with Anton.
Who's Anton?
The one. Oh, Xenia. Okay. No, I have to sign something.
I'm so sorry. Hi, how are you doing?
And we had about 5 phone calls.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, don't worry. No, this is good. You have the letter? You have a pen? You have the checks?
No, the second I have to go look for the...
Well, this is a life process. This is what Sandra does all day long, and she's on the phone all the time.
To see that everything
And
is
if
right.
you're lucky she answers the phone, then you're really lucky. So I really appreciate her giving me her time. When I asked for interview, I didn't even think she's going to agree, and she said, yes, come. So,
Did you put Unit 5? I'm not even going to read it. I don't like it anyway.
It's not on. So basically, no, this mermaid school idea, because now
Oh, well,
you're
so,
not in
okay.
universities and
Yeah, I was
other.
teaching, and they told me all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, after 40 years, great courses, women changing roles, dynamic of domestic violence, the social issues. The guy came to me, the head of the department, Aaron, and he said, "Did you get my email?" And probably part of it because I don't do emails and computers, but I said, "Did you get my email?" And I said, "No." And I said, "What?" He says, "We don't need you anymore." And I go, "What? How could you fire me?" He said, "We're not firing you. I said, "I'm so popular. I got good evaluations." He said, "I know," but he said, it's an adjunct is on call, like a waitress if they have 10 steadies.
I see.
You know, so we just don't need you because we had a drop in enrollment and we have to make room for the full-time professors. Who,
I
a
see.
lot of them were boring and stodgy and, you know, but they had doctorates.
So-
And a lot of people were getting doctorates, you know, of the adjuncts, but I didn't want to because I thought school was boring. I really, you know, I went to City College. I was teaching at Felician College in Lodi, and the Sister Veronice, who I was so in love with, oh my gosh, this nun, God has rest her soul, she died. And after she died, the Sister Renelle came to me and they said, if you wish to continue teaching, I was teaching anthropology, you have to get a
Degree.
a master's. I didn't even have a master's then. And I said, no, I have 3 small children. I work in a jazz club till 4 o'clock in the morning. No. And she said, you have to. So I didn't want to go to a boring place. So I went to City College, which is a really cool college. And I really, you know, loved it. And I had a lot of fun. But I didn't, at Ramapo or City, I didn't really do anything. Mostly what I learned through living. So there was this thing, to give you an example, it was called the Grundrisse. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's a
No.
Marxist doctrine, and it's about 58 pages. And the assignment was to read it. So I didn't read it because I didn't have time. And I was parking my car on Camden Avenue, and I
I
read,
have to say another.
yeah,
Sandra. Okay.
See,
One is
she's
from
like
different
a
workers.
president of what she's doing, constantly busy.
That's-
I don't know if she catches up. Sandra, how old are you?
80.
Oh my God.
No,
Yeah.
but she have a strong like a 15 years old girl.
I like
can
what
even
she's
do
doing.
whatever
I
that
would
she do.
love to do what she's doing, but being on the phone non-stop, I don't know if I can handle that.
No, I'm not on nonstop. Exenia, make sure this goes in, you know, recorded, everything, blah, 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 you know.
Yeah.
And we got to talk about if we're going tomorrow night, you know.
Well,
to-
you call me if you decide. If not,
it's not me. I have to get on the bus unless you want to drive me to Washington. But the gas is too much. You want to go to Washington?
I'm getting ready for Spain.
For who?
Spain.
Spring?
Spain.
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 Oh, Spain. On the way.
Yeah.
On
Oh, on the way.
Drop me off in Washington.
Beside all this, when I said 24/7, it's not true, because every day you have to do 2 hours at least, right? Going up the
I go to the
mountain,
gym,
and walking in the woods and meditating. That's what keeps our spirit up, I guess, right?
It's
I'm going
a
to-
Jewish Stations of the Cross, a Jewish goddess Stations of the Cross. Everywhere I stop has a meaning, and I put out energy for, you know, an end to disease, and an end to rape, an end to poverty. And,
Every God's
you know,
day.
for
Beautiful.
good things, yeah.
And I was impressed when you said, people say, you know, I'm over 60 or over 70, so I have blood pressure. You know, there's no other way, you know, get older. And you said, no, it's just in your brain. It doesn't have to be that way. I'm 80 and I have no illnesses whatsoever. That was very impressive. So everything is in your head.
Well, you should meet Elsa, the woman who gave me $13,000. She's on our board. She's 88. She has a house. It's immaculate. She has a garden. She cooked. I had to leave, but she cooked chili for the women
Good for
and
her.
offered them wine. I don't
It's
drink
all
wine.
spirit. I
And
guess it's all
she
spirit.
is. Oh my gosh! She went to Mexico. All these people weren't dancing, and that they had a band. She and her friend got up and they started dancing. They got 75 people in the club dancing. She's like, I told her, I said, you're my idol.
I remember you teaching in Ramapo College when I needed your help. You were still teaching in Ramapo College. So now no Ramapo, no William Patterson. So you feel like people don't get enough support and education in domestic
Yeah.
abuse
Oh, so I was saying
and
with the,
violence.
well, when I was teaching women's changing, the dynamics of domestic violence, and they took it away from me, and they gave it to this woman. I forgot her name. Anyway, she did it on the computer, and she told me she only did it for one semester. She said they told her, you can't go to court anymore, you can't picket, you can't work at the shelter, you can't, all the things that I had the women in my, and the men in my class doing. Instead of a paper, they could do 60 hours of community service, and they learned.
Right.
When they cut it out of the computer, it was just boring. And nobody would tell you, I don't know about nobody, that they were molested by their grandfather or their uncle online.
Right.
I'm sitting waiting to
Right.
pick up the chicken at the
I
deli.
know
This
what you
woman
mean.
lunges on top of me. I had you 30 years ago. I remember my uncle was molesting me and you helped me. And oh, that never would have happened online. So that's why I decided to start the mermaid school. That would be my own school. And I made the
To
flyer.
not depend on anyone and be free with your choices, what to teach and how to teach.
No, they never really tell me what to teach.
Well, now they're not allowing you in a way, right? You're not in
now they
college
don't
anymore.
have it, right.
Right. That's what I mean.
Well, now with all
Great.
the stupid things, you can't teach about gay and oh my gosh.
and computer
And I always
everything.
told the children, the students, that I was a lesbian. And sometimes somebody would say, well, yeah. Okay, she's going to drop me down. You just pick me up.
All right, so my appointment's at 3:15, so I should pick you up by like 4:45.
Yeah, 4 o'clock. Don't forget me. All right.
Okay, I guess this is wonderful, all this happening. And this is unbelievable that 80 years old woman instead of sitting and waiting someone to take care of them, just takes care of all those things. So this is Tadam example of this is
Well,
possible.
That woman was a battered woman. And her husband, he was on his way to kill me. He thought, first of all, because well, I'll tell you about the lesbian. When people, not so much now, when people find out you're a lesbian, not that it's a secret, they think you want to sleep with them. And I love to say, oh my gosh, Flo wasn't a lesbian. She said sex isn't worth taking a shower after. She was very, but a lot of women that used to come to her house, like Betsy West just made a great Academy Award film. Anyway, so I would tell my class, I'm a lesbian. And then some wise guy would say, well, how come you're saying that you're a lesbian? I didn't announce that I was heterosexual. And I said, because everyone assumes that you're heterosexual. And then the other thing I would ask, well, what would you do if you found out your best friend was a lesbian? Oh, I'd freak out. Or your roommate, I'd freak out. Why? Because she'd want to go to bed with me. And this is what Flo used to say, even though she wasn't a lesbian. And what I like to say is, don't flatter yourself. Don't flatter yourself. That's the thing that really pisses me off. How dare you assume that I want to sleep with you? And a lot of people think that. So anyway, that's, what I taught, and I got people to
Okay.
think.
Let's get back to happiness topic.
Okay,
Were you a happy child?
no,
Why?
because I lived with my parents who were very rigid. They had breakfast at 8, they watched the news, lunch at 12, dinner at 6, they ate the same thing. They went to visit relatives that they didn't like, and they talked about them. My mother didn't like my father. My mother, every time he saw a picture of him, she would say, who's that ugly man? And she didn't like him.
Until what age you had these feelings?
Well, I don't know, but I ran away from home when I was 11.
Oh, really? So
And
you
I-
ran away and never came back?
No, I came back, went to reform school. When I had a friend, well, first of all, I became Catholic. And my mother came to school. I used to wear these high Chinese style, like how the
Yes, I
Chinese
know. Mhm.
blouses.
Yes.
And I would wear the medal, my mother called it a gechka, underneath it. And my mother came to school and she saw it and she ripped it off me and she slapped me. And then my friend was being molested, Madeline, by her stepfather, Froggy, that was what she called him. And we decided to run away. So we only had $10. So we went to the Port Authority and we said, where can we go for under $10?
You were in New York?
Yeah.
You were in New York, go.
No, I was in New Jersey, but
But you went to Newport Authority.
New York.
So
And I
where were you running in your mind?
Anyway,
Just not home.
away, right.
And you weren't feeling happy, of course.
And what?
You weren't feeling happy.
No.
You were very unhappy. You
I wanted
change.
to do what I wanted to. I would come to school with pants. They said, you can't wear pants. You know, that you can wear snow pants. I said, that's faggy. I'm cool. I'm a cool chick. I want to wear tight pants. You know, everything that I wanted to do, they said I couldn't do. At the time, I shaved my legs. You know, like they didn't want me to do it. I wanted a Christmas tree. They wouldn't let me have one.
Would you say you got married early because you just wanted to get away from your own family?
No, I was already away.
Oh, really? How
Oh,
did
no,
you,
maybe I
how did
wasn't
you end
away.
up going away?
I'm not sure if I was away. No, but I didn't get married because of that. No, but I just didn't like being married. So I ran away, and we got 767. I got a ticket to the Port Authority. I mean to Baltimore, and we went to Baltimore, and we got a job at the White Coffee Pot, which is sort of like a
And
white
at 11?
11. But you know, I was heavy, and I had
They
breasts.
didn't know that you're 11.
No,
okay.
no, I didn't say I'm 11. I said I was 18.
I see.
And I had bleached blonde hair. I thought I was Marilyn Monroe. I had eyebrows, you know, and I was going out with 30-year-old guys. But you know, if you don't look, you just see the fat, which is breasts, and they didn't see it. We got a job. We didn't have a Social Security, so we lived on our tips, and we got a job in this has-been hotel. It was an old hotel, and there were roaches. And when the police found it, they told my parents there was roaches. And I said, "Oh, I never saw a roach. I just washed them down and took a bath." You know, I just was.
So
you know,
how did it make you feel when you're not with your parents? You feel strong, independent? Did it
Well,
give you
I
a sense
wasn't
of
there. That
happiness?
was only a couple of weeks, and then
Well, still, how did
Yeah.
you feel within that couple
good.
of weeks?
They didn't want two friends working together, so because they could steal. And I took a trolley car to the other end of Baltimore at 11 o'clock at night, and I worked in the other one, and came back in the morning.
Well, I remember you were saying, well, about 20 years ago when I was on your meetings from time to time, you said, well, all these partisan public districts, they said, Sandra doesn't understand the word no. If she hears no, she will keep trying until she gets what she needs. So that's you.
Yeah.
Good. So,
And that's something that makes me happy. And I'm appreciative. Every day I do TAG, and then I added L to it. Thanksgiving, appreciation, and gratitude, and laughter. I say, thank you, Goddess, that I live in this house. I am so glad that I live in this house. I love it. And I had 23 people living in my house in Hackensack, and now I live alone. And so many people, oh, could I move in here? I love living alone with my cats. And
23 people in Hackensack. So by the time they were
women and
feeling
children.
stronger emotionally, they would leave? How did you handle it?
Well, I mean, what they didn't. I mean, it's a lot of things. One woman lost her children. Economics was hard. One woman went back. This woman, Pauline, her head was shaved, and she was tied to the radiator, and she came, and she was there. We got her a job at the Ford plant, and she was a black woman. She was the only first woman and first black. I'm not sure about black, but that could work there. So she was doing really good. And her daughter was there. She had a little daughter, Tamika. And then one day, her grandfather showed up who had been molesting her. And I said, the daughter started screaming, no, I don't want to go. And she was the mother. And she said, we're going. And she went back.
Oh, she did.
Yeah. And
How were you getting money back then? Did you figure out right
I
away
worked
how to get?
as a waitress, and the first woman that I took, Helga, she was German. Her husband beat her up because she was working with the farm workers, and they thought she would sleep with them because they were color. White men, on the whole, are very insecure about black men, and the waitresses, when they would see Anton, my boyfriend, they would say, and most of them, they were working and drinking. And they would go out after work and they would have affairs. One of the women was having an affair with the manager, and they were doing a lot of stuff. But when they saw Anton, they asked me, "Does he have a big dick?" I said, "It is so big, we have to put a stool by the bed to rest it." They were just so, that wasn't true, but they were just, people, white men on the whole, were, I don't know about now, very insecure about black men.
So you basically were making money, earning money yourself, working and spending that money on other people.
Yeah.
You weren't getting any social
Yeah,
programs
well,
or
yeah.
anything back then.
And some of the nuns would bring us food from
I see.
St.
So
Joseph.
you were using your connections in a way too.
And Helen, Helga, the woman whose husband beat her up because she was volunteering for the farm workers, she worked as a nurse in the day. I worked as a waitress at night, and she
I
had 3
see.
children. And you know, we helped each other. We didn't have a lot of money.
So how many houses do you have now in total, and you're having all these social programs?
We have 7
7 houses.
and no money. And the reason we have no money is because we take people that we don't get vouchers for.
I see. I see. You still take people if you have room,
Yeah,
even though you don't get any financial support.
we get from some,
I
but
see.
it's a big battle.
And then this COVID situation changed everything like very radically. It's different world now. Okay, Sandra, what would you do if you have superpower? Though I think you feel you have a
do.
superpower. Okay. So would you end up doing what you did all your life?
Yeah, well, I would dissample the military-industrial complex and not have any more wars. And
Okay.
I would end child molestation. You know, there's people that have, one of the prayers I say, I don't know if you were listening when I explained it, there's a tree that's down, and I hold the tree and I say, I pray for the women that escaped from Saudi Arabia and they went to England and they were taken off the streets by the Saudi people. And Biden is going to meet with the Saudi whatever guy that he killed, this journalist, Jacoby, and he's going to kiss his ring. And it's just like, just horrible. People sell out for money, and I don't sell out for money.
If you would have a planet, what would you call your planet?
Mermaid land.
Mermaid. Why mermaid?
Well, because mermaid made waves. I don't know. Freedom land.
Freedom.
You know, I
And
don't
it
know.
can be inside of the water and outside of the water.
Yeah.
Probably this.
Yeah,
having-
mermaids make waves.
And you like waves.
Yeah. I don't like waves in the ocean particularly. I like making changes.
Yeah, waves. It's change. It's some kind of motion. It's not like static condition.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's what it is. Why purple?
I don't know. Years ago I bought a pair of purple pants from the Salvation Army, and my children said, "Oh, don't wear them. If you wear purple on Thursday, you're gay." and so I started wearing them, and then people, I don't even know. It was just again a process. They were, just tight, not tight, pants.
And nowadays, as you see, everything is purple, including hair, house. I just wanted you to have a view of the house. So, and that's why the nickname, Sandra's nickname is Purple Lady.
Yeah.
And I heard purple color. Well, not I heard.
Freedom,
I know.
royalty.
Happy people like purple color. Usually, that's the color of happy
Heavy?
people. Happy.
Happy. Oh,
Happy
really?
people.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
that's what it is. Okay, so what is your favorite word?
Freedom,
What word you don't like?
hate, war, greed.
Okay. What is the best thing in the world?
Best thing in the world is independence, freedom, love, appreciation.
What is the worst
Nature.
thing?
What is what?
Worst thing, like the thing that you can't accept in your life.
Oh, greed, hatred, control. Oh gosh, there's so many women that are so controlled. And last night at the group, there was, I think, 5 women, and they were all saying how their husbands controlled them. And they found when they were, one woman, her husband was okay with her until her father died, and she was very, just, weak and upset and unhappy. And that's when he started beating her, and he said, "You think you're beautiful, you're a model, well, I'm going to mess up your face." And, and another woman,
Own father, genetic father, did it to her.
no, her husband.
Or her
Her
husband.
father died,
I see.
and she was weak.
I
And
see.
you remember Hedda Nussbaum,
No.
Joel Steinberg?
No.
Hedda Nussbaum, she spoke with William Patterson. She was a woman, she was 40 years old, she wasn't married, and back then it was like a bad thing. And she and her 2 friends went to a party, and they met what they thought was this great catch, Joel Steinberg, who was a sicko, and he killed the daughter, he beat her, he beat the daughter, he was a horrible, disgusting guy. And when they were at the party, the 2 or 3 friends that met him, he was wearing a suit, and, blah blah blah. He was a lawyer or something, and they, he, everybody said, "Oh, you're so lucky, Hedda. He picked you," but he picked her. I don't know him, he's a bastard. I don't even want to know him. He got out of jail for 10 minutes, but he picked her, I believe, because she was the most vulnerable. And all the women in the group, they were all different, they all said that their husband batterer, they made them afraid, they made them think it was their fault, it's your fault. One husband said, "I can get a guy for $500, I can kill you, and then he'll be on a plane to Puerto Rico and nobody will ever find him." And that.
Well, it's very sad, but I remember you were discussing this with someone, and to be on a fair side, there is woman abuse as well. It's not only guys abusing, so
I
there's
know,
abusive
but
women as well.
yes,
So just
but
to be on a fair side, not as much though.
I understand. We live in a patriarchal society, and most of it is
Men.
men abusing women. Yes, there are some, and there was a period in my life where I didn't talk to men. I didn't like men, and I thought they were the enemy. Now I have men friends, and I've met some horrible women like Hillary Clinton, who stole money, who had Gaddafi killed in Libya, who took money from Haiti, and I think it was Madeleine Albright, I'm not sure if that's her name, that she made wars, and they said millions of children were killed. Was it worth it? And she said it was worth it. So those women, there's a lot of really horrible women. But so now, like I say, I have 2 grandsons and granddaughter, and I have men friends now. Most of my friends are women, but I do have men friends that if I don't go to Washington, I'm going to go to this thing for Julian Assange. Julian Assange has been in jail for, they want to put him in jail for 175 years here. He was at the Ecuadorian embassy. What did he do? He was a journalist. He started WikiLeaks. And what did he do? He exposed what the United States was doing, killing innocent people, families, and they charged him with espionage. And, all he did was his job, and it exposed it. And they're trying to get him,
Well, I guess you're one of those people, like pioneers of doing stuff that no one did before. Great, that's why I really respect you. If you would have your own planet, what would you call your planet?
I think you asked me that.
No.
No? I don't know. Planet of freedom, atom of love, atom of adventure.
Okay, I just asked what you like the most.
Oh, of adventure.
What do you think, what you were in your past life? Who you were?
My girlfriend said I was a witch and I was burned at the stake. I don't know if that's true.
So you think it could be true?
Yeah.
You think it could be true?
Well,
That's why you have this sign over there?
Yeah.
Witches are crossing the road,
Yeah.
drive
Well,
slowly.
witches were women. The women that were killed as witches were women that were in touch with their power. That's all. They were,
possible.
and that's why they were a threat. They were a threat, but they gave them bad publicity. They weren't really.
I mean,
bad.
it's a big topic, though. I mean, there is a black power, white power, so depends what you choose. But I don't know much
I
about
choose
it.
all power, but just like, why did you announce you're a lesbian? Why do you say black power? Because black people don't have power. How many?
No, I don't mean about black people.
Yeah,
Like
well-
dark power or, light power. That's what I mean.
Well,
Not-
buying a washing machine with a black tub is cheaper than buying a washing machine with a white tub.
Really?
Yeah, the whole society.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, check it out.
Wow. And I was very surprised to find out that until now, even women get paid less than men. I didn't know that.
Oh my
I
gosh.
didn't know that. Okay, what do you think? What is the most beautiful expression of love? Expression. Like what way you can express your love the best?
True love is respecting someone for who they are. So many people, if they're in love with or they're with a person, another person, a partner, and the partner doesn't want to be with them, they try to take the children, they try to hurt them, they try to kill them, they try to. Love is unconditional love. That if you say to me, I don't want your viewers to think you're a lesbian, but I'm just saying, if you would say to me, I don't want to be with you anymore, I would say, okay, if I felt sad, I would cry. I would, walk in the woods. I would do whatever. But I have to respect who you are. But people love people I love you if you do this.
Right, right.
And so love is,
Unconditional.
yeah, unconditional,
Okay.
right.
What moment was the hardest in your life?
Oh my gosh.
It was a lot.
Yeah, well, I was in reform school.
So what was difficult about that?
Well, not being able to do what I wanted to do.
Okay, not being free.
See, in the reform school I was at, they had, most people, they come up on the bus, and there was a long road leading out through a farm. It was in Hawthorne, New York. And so most people would come and they would break a window, cut their wrists, run down the road, get on a bus, run away, come back. And then they would stop and they would say they progressed. I never did that. I didn't run away. I didn't, break a window. I just was catatonic and I took instructions from the Knights of Columbus. I cheated too on the paper. And then my mother wanted me to go talk to the rabbi. And the rabbi's name was Dov Rappaport. He was nice, but you just can't say go talk to the rabbi. I had nothing in common with him. My daughter won a speech, won an award from the National Council of Jewish Women, one of those organizations. And she gave a speech, and I was there. And, my children were half Jewish and half Cuban, but my oldest daughter, she embraced Judaism. She said when she went to college at UC Berkeley, the hall she was in was the Star of David Hall, and everybody was Jewish. And my grandmother probably had a, influence on her, even though she wasn't religious, but she had a lot of Jewish culture. And she gave a speech, and she said, you can't just expect your children to say at you're 18, hello, I'm Jewish. And my daughter and her husband, my oldest daughter, my youngest daughter, this husband is Jewish, and he's a periodontist. The other husband is black, and he graduated from Yale. He's like a buppy. I didn't like him at first because he wasn't a cool black guy, but he's very nice. And Maria, they every night, every Friday, they blow the shofar, and they went to rabbis, to synagogue, and they did all things so that they know their Judaism. It was with them their whole life. So,
So yeah, it's not being free. That's the sense that puts you down
Yeah.
the most. Yeah, one of my daughters, like, they all go to the same school when they went to the school, and my oldest is very happy coming back, telling all these fun stories. And my second one, which is the most free-spirited one, she
The
would
one that
come
sang,
and say,
Lucy?
the one that sings.
I
Yeah,
love her.
you got it right away. And she said, if I go to this school one more year, well, and we were immigrant, they moved just from their country, and they went to high school. Even she knew English, but for some reason she didn't like all this discipline that she had to follow. And she said, if I go to this school one more year, I'll kill myself. So she took the test. She got the diploma without going to school.
I wanna
She
meet
didn't
her.
want to. She didn't want
I
to.
want to meet her.
And then she was very proud. She said, do you know that Frank Sinatra did the same? All talented people. Nobody wanted to go to this boring school.
Which school was it?
Well, it was West Milford High School, a beautiful school. But she
Frank
just...
Frank Sinatra didn't go to that school.
No, not
His
that school. He didn't complete high school ordinary way. He
And
just took the test.
Tony Bennett, who's a great
Right.
singer and artist, when he was in school, he got in trouble for drawing pictures
Right.
because he had creativity. He didn't want to
Right.
learn the boring stuff.
Did you have miracles in your life?
Oh
I'm
my
sure
gosh.
yes. Tell
The
some.
fact that I'm alive and I've done so many things. The woman who passed, husband, wanted to kill me because he said I was sleeping with her, which I wasn't. And he told the judge, it was really funny. He said, she walks in the woods, she hugs trees, she's a lesbian, she has a broom on her door. And the judge said, take her out of here. But he was just, but somebody, I feel the goddess watches over me. Somebody, at an AA meeting, he was on his way to kill me. Somebody got permission from the AA guy, like you can get permission from a priest to, tell if it involves somebody's life.
Okay. So, well, that you're alive. Anything else that can be considered like really, really just miracle right before your eyes?
Then I'm healthy.
That's true.
That I'm very thankful for that. That the shelter is still open, with all the hard times. When it was in my house for 7 years, we had no money, and then we got a board, and the board, after 15 years or 14 years, they fired me because I was taking in crazy people, and because I was a lesbian, and it was really, And then I came up here and I ended up starting this shelter. I didn't plan to.
What was the dream of your childhood? What did you dream about?
To empower women, and to break the cycle. I guess to break the cycle of poverty and violence.
That was your dream.
Yeah, that is my dream. To end
What would
war.
you suggest yourself going back if you would be back 20? Like, would you change anything? Any suggestions you would have for 20 years old Sandra?
I don't know. I mean, I pretty much did what I wanted, but I had a lot of obstacles. But I think it made me the woman that I am
You are.
today.
True.
So, I'm happy. I'm thankful
What gives you most pain?
that children are molested. And there are children that are molested in front of their mothers, and the mother either has to try to stop it and get shot or watch it. I mean, oh gosh.
What is the most happiest things that you can remember of?
Walking in the woods, singing, dancing, seeing children, being with my children, but I consider children all children in the world. We have a little school group that's here, and there are all these cute little children, and they say, "Are you the purple lady?" And
Are you serious?
yeah, they're adorable.
Okay, so you still love children. That's good.
Oh gosh.
Like
yeah.
questions that require like
and
short
see, I
answers.
would never want to live. Like, I met this guy, I think he was a judge, he was very wealthy. He had stuff to donate, and he came up here. So I said, "Do you want to walk up to the pool?" So he's walking up with me. So, and I said, "Where do you live? How's your life?" I always like to know about people. And he said where he lived, and he said, "But I'm waiting to go into the senior place." And he said, "But there's a long waiting list, and it's very expensive." And I said, "Well, why do you want to go live in there?" And he said, "Well, they mow your lawn." And I said, "That seems like a jail, where they don't allow children. It just seems like, here, there's people of all ages, and, there's a lot of children around, and animals, and,
Okay, what would you prefer, ocean or
like,
no, not water. I mean, ocean or land?
land on the ocean. Not on the ocean, land on the lake.
Okay, both. Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want everything. And people go, can't you do one thing at a time? I go, no. And they go, "We can't have everything." And I go, "Why not?" Like, I was in the woods, and people stopped me. A lot of people stopped me. And the guy was saying stuff, and the lady goes, "Oh, I love your hair. I wish I could make my hair like that." I
Then
said,
do it, right?
I said, "Splat." I said, "Get it." And the one guy said, "Well, there's a difference between what you want to do and what you do." And I went, "Why?" And he looked at me. And,
Good question.
"Why? She wants to do it. Why can't she do it?"
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I get references like that. Like, she's crazy. She just does whatever she wants. Like, why
Yeah,
not? Right?
Why not? That's right.
What is the most tasty thing for you?
The most tasty? You say tasty?
Yeah.
Garlic and lemon. On whatever, if I eat vegetables or
Good.
fish.
What is the most interesting thing in your life?
Walking in the woods, meeting people, overcoming challenges.
How can you overcome the anger wave that comes like all of a sudden? Is there any way to do it?
No, I do get angry. I try to blow it away.
How do you do it?
I try to blow it away.
Or just
And,
like
and I
that?
tell people off, and then sometimes that makes me feel better.
Earth or cosmos?
Up in the moon? Or
Yeah.
up the earth?
Yeah, Earth or the moon, like cosmos,
Here.
space.
Yeah, they're already
The line.
destroying the earth. I don't think they should have the right to destroy the moon. Jeff Bezos and all those people.
Color or sound?
Color or sound? I guess color, but I like sound.
Both again.
Yeah, I would say both.
Okay. Do you think you still have a lot of plans? Do you have a lot of plans still?
Yeah, I want to, it's hard, but I'm trying to go to Washington, make the world a better place, and get the shelter in a better financial position, but dealing with the town and, it's so ridiculous. They're just so hypocritical. And,
Question that I guess you already answered, but just one more time from different angle. Marcel Proust said, if you're Marcel Proust, you don't know him.
No.
Okay, so he's a writer, philosopher. He said, when you're falling down the cliff, why don't you just spread your wings and try to fly? You're already falling down. There's nothing to lose.
Right.
So what would be for you spreading your wings and flying when you're almost?
Well, just never giving up. One of my things going up the thing is never give up.
Beautiful. Anything else you wanted to say?
No, I'm going to go take a few more vitamins and then put the phone in and go to the gym, because if you drop me, I have to go quick, and Lena's coming at 4. I think it's a little earlier. And then I have to work on a thing with the, oh my gosh, so stupid, an extension for the grant. They make things so
Okay.
complicated.
One more question. Who are your heroes? Like few real characters that you would consider heroes?
The goddess. Emma Goldman. Emma Goldman, she was an anarchist.
Okay.
She was, very ahead of her time. And the great women like Billie Holiday and Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman.
It's
And,
mostly women, anyway.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but Julian Assange.
What was the biggest discovery in your life? Like aha moment, a breakthrough moment, or what was it? And when was it?
I don't know. I like I say, I think it was a process. I couldn't tell you a date.
So you always knew inside that the freedom is the main thing for you. You want to be free.
Well, I don't know. When I was,
Don't be told what to
living
do.
with my parents, I was very frustrated.
But you didn't know why.
Yeah, but I guess I used to call them monkeys. They lived in a house. They kept moving to get me out of trouble, and I kept getting in trouble. But we lived in a house. It was 625 McCarthy Drive. All the houses, 3 blocks, they all looked the same. And when my parents moved to Florida, they lived to Birdie Drive on a golf course. And when I went there, I used to roll on the green, the green, the low-cut grass
Right.
on the golf course. My mother would say, "That's ridiculous. Why are you rolling on the green?" I said, "Is it any more ridiculous than hitting a little ball on it?" She goes, "You got a point." And I said, and where they live, I said, if you come home drunk, I don't drink, but if you come home drunk, every house looks the same. I didn't want my house to look the same.
So you're basically saying that you always knew somewhere inside of your body, in your soul, that there is a spirit, there is something bigger than this
Yeah,
that we see. You always knew it. That's
Yeah.
why you didn't have this aha moment. Because for me, that was the aha moment. But I mean, I always knew it, but I was just guessing. I wasn't sure. And when I sensed it, like, oh, this is it. There is a whole different thing happening, and this
Yeah.
is not. This is very little thing that we can see. That the rest is way huger, and that not everybody can see it. That was my aha moment. You never had that. You always knew it.
I don't know. I mean, probably somewhere along the line. I don't know. for
But too
sure.
many things were happening, so that you couldn't remember all
Yeah.
the ahas that happening.
But
to
I know,
you.
I used to have my boyfriend, he was 23 years old, picked me up, and when I was in middle school, and we would go on a motorcycle, go up to Sussex, and the guys would jump off the cliff. He was a muscle guy.
Thank you. Anytime you wear mask, not this mask not being yourself, did you do it ever in your life, and when?
I just, trying to go to get money for the shelter.
Okay. What kind of mask do you need for that?
I try to act respectable, but I never really looked respectable.
I see.
Even when I would put on like a suit, I never looked, because mostly I used to wear a shirt that said "Never Another Battered Woman" and tight jeans, and my hair was bushy, and I never looked respectable, even though if I tried a little bit. And then as I got knowing more people, sometimes I would send somebody else to go speak that they would like better.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for your time, really.
Well, thank you.
When I was asking you if you don't mind to talk to me, I was absolutely sure you will not have time for me. And when you said yes, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. So thank you.